Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 2, Ajamil delivered by the Yamdutas. Text number 39 onwards. So Ajamil is lamenting for what he had done, then he was happy for having association of the Vishnudutas, and then he was making his resolution that I'll not commit any more sinful activity. And let's see what he did now. Iti jatasu nirveda kshanasangena sadhushu gangadvaram upeyaya mukta sarva anubandhana. Because of a moment's association with devotees, the Vishnudutas, Ajamil detached himself from the material conception of life with determination. Thus freed from all material attraction, he immediately started for Haridwar. So from Kanyakubj, Kannauj, he went to Haridwar. And the word Mukta Sarvanu Bandhana indicates that after this incident, Ajamil, not caring for his wife and children, went straight to Haridwar for further advancement in his spiritual life. Our Krishna consciousness movement has now centers in Vrindavan and Navadvip, so that those who want to live a retired life, whether they be devotees or not, can go there and with determination give up the worldly concept of life. One is welcome to live in those holy places for the rest of his life in order to achieve the highest success by the very simple method of chanting the holy name of the Lord and taking prasad. Thus one may return home back to God. We do not have a center in Haridwar. Well, now we do actually. But Vrindavan and Sridham Mayapur are better for devotees than any other places. The Chaitanya Chandrodaya temple, that's in Mayapur, temple offers one a good opportunity to associate with devotees. Let us all take advantage of this opportunity. So the point Prabhupada is making that we should, towards the end of the life or even before that, we should plan to go there and live a retired life and a blissful life actually, and prepare ourselves to leave this body. Satasmin devasadan nasi no yogam bastita pratyahritendriya gramo yuyojaman atmani. In Haridwar, Ajamil took shelter at a Vishnu temple where he executed the process of Bhakti Yoga. He controlled his senses and fully applied his mind in the service of the Lord. The devotees who have joined the Krishna consciousness movement may live comfortably in our many temples and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, they can control the mind and senses and achieve the highest success in life. This is a process descending from time immemorial. Learning from the life of Ajamil, we should vow with determination to do what is necessary to follow this path. So at the age of 88, actually he was given a extension of life by Vishnudutas or by Narayan himself. So it is all possible. By the mercy of Krishna, everything is possible. He can do anything. So now Ajamil learned his lesson. He was supposed to die, but he was given a fresh lease of life. So he said, now let me just use it in the service of Lord. So he went to Haridwar, he took shelter at a Vishnu temple, and he executed the process of Bhakti Yoga. Tato gunebhya atmanam vyajyatma samadhina yoyoje bhagavad dhamni brahmani anubhavat money. Ajamil fully engaged in devotional service. Thus, he detached his mind from the process of sense gratification and became fully absorbed in thinking of the form of the Lord. If one worships the deity in the temple, one's mind will naturally be absorbed in thought of the Lord and his form. There is no distinction between the form of the Lord and the Lord himself. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga is the most easy system of yoga. Yogis try to concentrate their minds upon the form of the Supersoul Vishnu within their heart. But the same objective is easily achieved when one's mind is absorbed in the deity worshipped in the temple. In every temple, there is a transcendental form of the Lord, and one may easily think of this form. By seeing the Lord during Arati, by offering bhoga, and by constantly thinking of the form of the deity, one becomes a first-class yogi. This is the best process of yoga as confirmed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The first class yogi is he who controls his senses and detaches himself from material activities by always thinking of the form of the Lord. So in temples, it is little easier to concentrate or to think of the form of the Lord because the deities are there. So we can always look at the deities and absorb themselves in thinking of that form. So deity is non-different from the Lord, especially the temples where the deities are invoked properly by the proper pran pratishtha method, and where the deities are served properly. Because we are material people, we have material eyes, material mind. So we need, the Lord appears himself in a form made of material elements. Of course, those elements are not material anymore. They're all spiritual, but for us, they are still material. So at least we can see those, and we can serve the deities, and we can concentrate upon those deities. Yarhu parat dhistasmin nadrakshit purushan puraha uplabdhyopalabdhan pragavavande shirsan dvijaha. When his intelligence and mind were fixed upon the form of the Lord, the Brahman Ajamil once again saw before him 4 celestial persons. He could understand they were those he had seen previously, and thus he offered them obeisances by bowing down before them. The Vishnu Dutas who had rescued Ajamil came before him again when his mind was firmly fixed upon the form of the Lord. The Vishnu Dutas had gone away for some time to give Ajamil a chance to become firmly fixed in meditation upon the Lord. Now that his devotion had matured, they returned to take him. Understanding that the same Vishnu Dutas had returned, Ajamil offered them his obeisances by bowing down before them. So same 4 Vishnu Dutas came back to take Ajamil now back to the spiritual world, because now he had completed his meditation by he was firmly fixed upon the form of the Lord. Hitva kalevuram tirthe gangayam darshanadano satyah swarupam jagrihe bhagvat parshvavartinam. Upon seeing the Vishnu Dutas, Ajamil gave up his material body at Haridwar on the bank of the Ganges. He regained his original spiritual body, which was a body appropriate for an associate of the Lord. So he got a spiritual body because he was now eligible. He was completely pure now. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in the material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. The result of perfection in Krishna consciousness is that after giving up one's material body, one is immediately transferred to the spiritual world in one's original spiritual body to become an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some devotees go to Vaikuntha Loka and others go to Golok Vrindavan to become associates of Krishna. So who goes to Vaikuntha Loka and who goes to Golok Vrindavan? Well, first of all, it depends upon one's swarupa, one's original relationship with the Lord. If one's original relationship with the Lord is in Vaikuntha Loka, then he goes to Vaikuntha Loka. It's not that we artificially impose something new. It can be done. It's not impossible, but it's not generally done because devotees, who, whatever relationship they have with the Lord, they just continue with that. And also it is said that in bhakti, now we have heard many times these terms, Vaidhi Bhakti, then Raganuga Bhakti, then Bhav Bhakti, then Prema Bhakti. So if our bhakti, our sadhana bhakti is at the level of Vaidhi Bhakti, following the rules and regulations, of course, it doesn't mean in Raganuga we don't follow, there also we follow. But there we just do it spontaneously out of love. So if bhakti is at the level of Vaidhi Bhakti only, there is no spontaneous love, that means one goes to Vaikuntha Loka. That is eligible, that purifies one for him to go to Vaikuntha Loka. If one develops Bhav Bhakti, Prema Bhakti for Krishna, then definitely he goes to Golok Vrindavan. But then again, it depends upon one's constitutional position also. Different topic for Nectar of Devotion, actually. Sakam vihaya savipro mahapurush kinkara hemam vimanam aruya yayo yatra shriya atihi. Accompanied by the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, Ajamil boarded an airplane made of gold. Passing through the airways, he went directly to the abode of Lord Vishnu, the husband of the goddess of fortune. For many years, material scientists have tried to go to the moon, but they're still unable to go there. However, the spiritual airplanes from the spiritual planets can take one back home, back to Godhead in a second. The speed of such a spiritual plane can only be imagined. Spirit is finer than the mind, and everyone has experience of how swiftly the mind travels from one place to another. Therefore, one can imagine the swiftness of the spiritual form by comparing it to the speed of the mind. In less than even a moment, a perfect devotee can return home back to God immediately after giving up his material body. So this is how he goes back. So yes, Ajamil boarded an airplane made of gold, and the Vishnu Dutas had come to take him back to the Vaikuntha Loka. And Prabhupada said that plane flew with the speed of the soul, actually. Even our mind is so fast right now. If I think I'm in India, I'm in Vrindavan, or I'm in Govardhan, I can be there, at least mentally. But spiritual speed, that will be even faster. Evam saviplavit sarva dharma dasya patih patito gari karmana nipatyamano nirye hatpritaha sadyo vimukto bhagwan nama grihan. Ajamil was a Brahmin who, because of bad association, had given up all Brahminical culture and religious principles. Becoming most fallen, he stole, drank, and performed other abominable acts, even kept a prostitute. Thus he was destined to be carried away to hell by the order carriers of Yamaraj. But he was immediately rescued simply by a glimpse of the chanting of the holy name Narayana. So simply by a glimpse, that's how powerful the holy name is. Natah param karma nibandha krintanam mukshatam tirtha padanu kirtana nayat punah karma susajjate mano rajastamam bhyam kalilam tatonyatha. Therefore, one who desires freedom from material bondage should adopt the process of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God, at whose feet all the holy places stand. One cannot derive the proper benefit from other methods such as pious atonement, speculative knowledge, and meditation and mystic yoga, because even after following such methods, one takes to fruitive activities again, unable to control his mind, which is contaminated by the base qualities of nature, namely passion and ignorance. It has actually been seen that even after achieving so-called perfection, many karmis, jnanis, and yogis become attached to material activities again. Many so-called swamis and yogis give up material activities as false, jagan mithya, but after some time, they nevertheless resume material activities by opening hospitals and schools or performing other activities for the benefit of the public. Sometimes they participate in politics, although still falsely declaring themselves sannyasis, members of the renounced order. The perfect conclusion, however, is that if one actually desires to get out of the material world, he must take to devotional service, which begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. The Krishna consciousness movement has actually proved this. In the Western countries, many young boys who were addicted to drugs and who had many other bad habits, which they could not give up, abandoned all those propensities and very seriously engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord as soon as they joined the Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, this process is a perfect method of atonement for actions performed in Raja and Tama. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, as a result of Raja and Tama, one becomes increasingly lusty and greedy. But when one takes to the process of chanting and hearing, one comes to the platform of goodness and becomes happy. As he advances in devotional service, all his doubts are completely eradicated. Vidyate Hridaya Granthe. Thus, the knot of his desire for fruitive activities is cut to pieces. So bhakti process is so strong and so powerful. And in bhakti, especially for this day and age, the chanting of the holy names, that all other processes, all other methods, pious activities, atonement, speculative knowledge, jnana, karma, yoga, anything and everything, they are just unable to take away the propensities to commit sin. And this is what Prabhupada is saying, why all these swamis and yogis, they say Jagan Mithya, this whole material world is illusion, and then they get into opening hospitals and schools or sometimes in politics also, that this is how they can serve the public. But this is like if we say this body is false, actually we are not this body, which is right. And this body is false, and one who thinks this body is in a dream stage, is dreaming. So in my dream, if I do operation on some other person who is sleeping, or if I help somebody get education who's also sleeping, what is the point? Only thing it's going to do is going to make the sleep or dream longer. He's not going to wake up to his original situation. So the best service to the mankind is to bring them on the path of bhakti, at least wake them up, give them the knowledge of their position, their relationship with Krishna, and how to develop that relationship. And after somebody is up, one can or one should help to keep the body fit to serve Krishna. But not in a dream stage. And these sannyasis and yogis that Prabhupada is mentioning, this is what they do. They're not waking anybody up. They're not giving that knowledge. Text 47, 48. Ya etam parmam guhyam iti hasam aghapaham shranyu yachradya yukto yashcha bhaktyanu na vaisa narakam yati nekshito yam kinkara yadyapiyam amangalo martyo vishnu loke mahiyate. Because this very confidential historical narration has a potency to vanquish all sinful reactions. Now comes the Shrutifal. One who hears or describes it with faith and devotion is no longer doomed to hellish life, regardless of his having a material body and regardless of how sinful he may have been. Indeed, the Yamdutas who carry out the orders of Yamraj do not approach him even to see him. After giving up his body, he returns home back to Godhead, where he is very respectfully received and worshipped. Hari Bo. So like Ashok Prabhuji mentioned yesterday or other day, that everybody was so afraid after listening to the description of hellish planets towards the end of his canto. But now, this is a Shrutifal. The Shukdev Goswami is saying, one who hears this story, confidential historical narration. Another thing, it's not mythology. In India, everybody loves to say, oh, mythology, this mythology, that mythology. No, this is historical narration. And then one who hears or describes it with faith and devotion, I'm pretty sure everybody heard it with faith and devotion, is no longer doomed to hellish life. So Yamdutas are not even going to approach him, even to see him, even to say him Hari Bol. They will not come. Don't worry. And after giving up his body, he returns home back to Godhead, where he is very respectfully received and worshipped. Text 49. Mriyamano hareranam grinan putropacharitam ajamilo api gadhama kimota shraddhya grinan. While suffering at the time of death, Ajamil chanted the holy name of the Lord. And although the chanting was directed towards his son, he nevertheless returned home back to Godhead. Therefore, if one faithfully and inoffensively chants the holy name of the Lord, where is the doubt that he will return to Godhead? So, Ajamil chanted indirectly, actually. But Shukdev Goswami is saying, if one faithfully chants, where is the doubt that he will return to Godhead? At the time of death, one is certainly bewildered because the bodily functions are in disorder. At that time, even one who throughout his life has practiced chanting the holy name of the Lord may not be able to chant the Hare Krishna mantra very distinctly. Nevertheless, such a person receives all the benefits of chanting the holy name. While the body is fit, therefore, why should we not chant the holy name of the Lord loudly and distinctly? If one does so, it is quite possible that even at the time of death, he will be properly able to chant the holy name of the Lord with love and faith. In conclusion, one who chants the holy name of the Lord constantly is guaranteed. Prabhupada says he is guaranteed to return home back to Godhead without a doubt. Without any doubt. In fact, once some devotees asked Prabhupada that Srila Prabhupada, you say only by chanting 16 rounds and following these 4 regulatory principles, we can go back home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada just looked at them in their eyes. He said, do you have any doubts in my words? And that was it. They just didn't have any more doubts. There is some supplementary notes from different acharyas. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Someone may say it may be accepted by chanting the holy name of the Lord. One becomes freed from all the reactions of sinful life. However, if one commits sinful acts in full consciousness, not only once but many, many times, he is unable to free himself from the reactions of such sins, even after atoning for them for 12 years or more. How is it possible that simply by once chanting of the holy name of the Lord, one immediately becomes freed from the reactions of such sins? And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the chanting of the holy name of Lord Vishnu is the best process of atonement for a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays a friend or relative, for one who kills a Brahman, or for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or another superior. It's also the best method of atonement for one who murders women, the king or his father, for one who slaughters cows, or for all other sinful men. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this man has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. Because holy name is non-different from Krishna. And Krishna is all powerful, all pure. So when we chant his name, even unknowingly, the name is his, so he is all powerful, all pure, so is the holy name. So that's what purifies us. So there's one more paragraph we can read. Actually, now ends this second chapter. Tomorrow we can start the third chapter. Yamaraj instructs his messengers. So as we read in this chapter that Yamdutas went back to Yamaraj and asked him questions. So that discussion happens in the third chapter. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any question or comment.
थोड़ा सा पाठ.
Okay, I guess now everybody is happy, so that you enjoy.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
You all have a safe and wonderful day.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.